All right, happy Sabbath. Today is January 27, 2018, and we will continue on our study of the parable of the 10 virgins, specifically the line of the Millerites, right? Because this is the most important line that will actually tell us what our line will be. We study line upon line. And the line that we start off with is the story of David's experience when he sang his experience in Psalms 23, right? It's so beautiful, right? And that song is a prophecy. It's a prophecy about the life of Jesus, that Jesus lived from the time he was born in Bethlehem until he went up to heaven, and then he was anointed. And so that when he was anointed, he can give that life to us. That life that overcomes sin in human flesh, right? That life that overcomes sin in human flesh, he will give it to us so that we also can overcome in our human flesh. All right. Okay. And that line also is the line of the Millerites, right? And the line of the Millerites is the story of the 10 virgins, right? All right. While the bridegroom tarried, this is from Great Controversy. They tarried, while the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. Slumbered is what? Tarried is delayed. Why the bridegroom delayed, right? We did our study last week. And they all slumbered. Slumbered is lingering. They lingered and they slept, right? There's two kinds of sleep, remember? Right? There's two kinds of sleep. There's koimao, which is the sleep of sorrow, right? That's dying to self. But there's katheudo, which is the sleep. That's the sleep of indifference, right? The sleep of indifference, right? By the tarrying of the bridegroom is represented the passing of time when the Lord was expected, right? Right? The passing of time. They said, hey, Jesus is going to come, right? Jesus is going to come, but Jesus delayed. Jesus did not come, right? And then what happened? There was a disappointment and a seeming delay. In this time of uncertainty, the interests of the superficial and half-hearted soon began to waver. Right? The superficial and the half-hearted are those who are foolish, right? And their efforts to relax. But those whose faith was based on it's a personal knowledge, right? It's a personal knowledge, right? Because it's the oil that they receive. They had an extra vessel. It's called a flagon. They had a flagon, an extra vessel, right? And they had extra oil. It's their personal knowledge of the Bible, right? Personal knowledge means when they hear something, they listen to something, what do they do? They go home and study it for themselves. They prove it. They prove it according to what? Bible and spirit prophecy. Is it true? They have to prove it to themselves. Then it becomes their conviction. Otherwise, it's the pastor's conviction. It's not my conviction. It's the pastor that told me that. It's not my conviction. But if I go home and study for myself, it's not, oh, this is true. It becomes my conviction, right? It becomes a personal. It's a personal experience. And the personal knowledge of the Bible had a rock beneath their feet, which the waves of disappointment could not wash away. But all of them slumbered and slept. One class in unconcern and abandonment of their faith. They abandoned their faith. They abandoned the faith of their pioneers, right? They abandoned the faith of their pioneers, right? Unconcerned. And the other word for it is indifference, right? Right. You'll see this characteristic all the time. Unconcerned and indifferent. Right. And the other class, were they sleeping? Well, they were sleeping, but they were sleeping spiritually, right? Because they were dead. And how were they dead? They were dead to self. They were dead to their flesh, right? And when they received something new to them, what did they do? They went home and studied. They had a personal knowledge. They studied for themselves, and then they patiently waited for clear light that should be given. So when they studied, and they said, oh, you know what? This could be true. Let me study this myself. And then they waited for new light. So you have to walk in the light that you are given. Otherwise, what happens? You will not be given more light, right? So they walk. That's how they sleep. Because when they sleep, they are actually dead. They are dead to self. Yet in the night of trial, the latter seem to lose some extent their zeal. But it seemed like, they look like as if they're going to lose their zeal and devotion as well. The half-hearted and the superficial could no longer lean upon the faith of their brethren, right? They say, give us your faith. That stuff that you've been studying at the Bible study, share it with me so I may know it. But it has to be a personal knowledge. Each must stand or fall by himself. It has to be a personal knowledge, You cannot just buy or sell oil, all right, after midnight, okay? All right. So now we're going to see that in the Old Testament there's a prophecy. That, remember, we had a prophecy of Matthew 25. That's the 10 virgins. It's a prophecy, right? It's a prophecy that there's going to be a disappointment. There's going to be tarrying, right? There's also going to be slumbering and sleeping, and there's going to be people who will wake up and arise, right? That's Matthew 25. And that it also happened in Gethsemane, because it happened to the disciples, right? So it happened. But in the Old Testament, there's also a disappointment and tarrying. A prophecy about disappointment and tarrying. Where is it in the Old Testament? And Ellen White said this is a fulfillment. The story of the Millerites was a fulfillment of a prophecy in the Old Testament, that there is a disappointment and tarrying time. Okay? I don't know if you remember this, but it's in Habakkuk. Habakkuk 2, verse 2 and 3. Habakkuk 2, verse 2 and 3. All right. As early in 1842, the direction given in this prophecy, right, in Habakkuk 2, verse 2 and 3, to write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it, had suggested to Charles Fitch, right? Charles Fitch, right? The preparation of a prophetic chart to illustrate the visions of Daniel and the Revelation. So, to make it plain upon tables, Charles Fitch says, well, you know what? Our pioneers said, this is a fulfillment of prophecy, that we have to make a chart. And that's a fulfillment of Habakkuk 2, right? To illustrate the visions of Daniel and the Revelation. The publication of the charts were regarded as a fulfillment of the command given by Habakkuk. No one, however, then noticed that an apparent delay in the accomplishment of the vision, a tarrying time. There's a tarrying time. Associate with that, write the vision, there is going to be a tarrying time. It's presented in the same prophecy after disappointment. However, after they were disappointed, they said, oh no, Jesus didn't come. Jesus was tarrying. The bridegroom is tarrying, right? Now what do they have to do? They went back to the Bible, right? And they started studying. And when they started studying, you know what they said? Oh, it's actually prophesied that there's going to be a tarrying time. And then there's going to be a disappointment. Right? The vision is yet for an appointed time. This is Habakkuk 2 verse 3. But at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. The just shall live by his faith. Right? So this is the 18. It's called the 1843 chart. Right? And how many of these were printed? According to Joseph Bates, there was 300 of these that was printed. Yeah, 300. Right? And they used it all over northern in Canada, everywhere. They used it to preach, and obviously William Miller used this to preach, and a lot of our pioneers used this to preach. Right? Okay. All right. And Ellen White said that the hand of the Lord was in the making of this chart. Right? The hand of the Lord. Why? What happened afterwards? Why were they disappointed? Because the hand of the Lord was what? Covering. Covering what? Covering a mistake. It covered how many mistakes? One mistake. Such that they could not figure out the figures. There's only one mistake in this. Right? There's one mistake. But because of that one mistake, it messed up figures, a couple of figures. So which figures was it that was that mistake? They realized this is what's wrong with it. God actually covered the mistake, and they actually realized that 1843 right here and 1843, these are the figures that was wrong, because God covered the mistake. And what was the mistake? Right? Of us that have studied, what was the mistake? This is not the mistake. 1843 was not the mistake. It was planned. God planned it that way. Right? Why? He had to test people. Are you going to just follow me because you're afraid? William Miller is preaching, God is going to come. And he says, oh no, I'm afraid that he's going to come, I'm going to be found. A lot of people were just following because they were afraid. Right? It has to test the people. What was the mistake? Right? What was the mistake? Remember? Is the fullness of time mistake. What's the fullness of time? That the fullness of time starts from the fall to fall. Right? From spring to spring, fall to fall. Right? Right. Fall to fall, spring to spring. So it's a fullness of time mistake. Right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, we studied this, We did study this many times before. Okay. So that's just so this is a fulfillment of a prophecy. Okay? Right? In 1842. Right? It's actually May 1842. Okay. All right. We'll continue with the parable. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. Right? Because the bridegroom did not come. And then they slumbered. They were waiting. He was not coming. And there was a delay. The publication of this chart was regarded as a fulfillment of the command given by Habakkuk. No one, however, then noticed that an apparent delay in the accomplishment of the vision, a tarrying time. So the tarrying time. The tarrying time started after a what? A delay. And when there was a delay, what happened to them? They were disappointed. Right. All right. When they were disappointed, because they said Jesus was going to come. When did they actually predict that Jesus was going to come? And the mistakes, there were two. What year? 1843. Right? And how did they calculate 1843? They said, okay, it's the end of 2300 days. They say 457. Okay, from 457 BC, they calculate, okay, it's got 2300 years, it's 1843. Wait a minute. But the fullness of the year, then they said, wait a minute, it can't be right, because 4057 BC, they were calculating using a what calendar? A Jewish calendar. How could we reconcile the starting of a prophecy with a Jewish calendar and the end with a Gregorian calendar, with our calendar? It has to match. So they said, okay, in that case, we have to use a Jewish calendar. And they went to they had to study a Jewish calendar. And they figured out it was actually a Cariite calendar, right? So they say, okay, it's a Cariite calendar, a Jewish calendar. So the beginning, the end of 1843, when it ends, and the beginning of 1844 is when Jesus will come, right? So it's the first day of the first month that he's going to come. That's why I put 1D, 1M. First day of the first month. First day of the first month. This is very, very important. The first day of the first month is very important. Because when they look at the Cariite calendar for 1844, then they look at the Jewish calendar. Okay. First day of the first month happens to fall on April 19, 1844. So William Miller says, you know what? Jesus is going to come on April 19, 1844. And they were preaching this. And did Jesus come? No, they didn't just come. So were they disappointed? Yes. They were disappointed. So and then they started to have to tarry, right? When they say the end of 2300 days is actually April 19, 1844, right? But they were disappointed, okay? And they figured out by the first day of the first month, right? Okay, what else happened on the first day of the first month? According to Ezra 7:9. What happened to first day of the first month? According to Ezra 7. Ezra said, let's come out of Babylon. Let's come out of Babylon. So he went out of Babylon, but when he left Babylon, he realized that there was no what? There's no Levites. How can we have a sanctuary and we have no Levites, no workers, and we have no Nethinims, right? We have no workers. So let's what? Call the Levites out of Babylon. And what's the call out of Babylon? The second angel's message. So we know that and Ezra called the Levites. They said, come out of Babylon on the first day of the first month. That's Ezra 7:9. So this is the second angel's message, right? So Ezra 7:9 is the call out of Babylon, and the first day of the first month. So the first day of the first month is the second angel's message. Okay, I know this is going to be a review, right, for a lot of us. Okay, but for those, I just want to make sure everybody's caught up. Okay, this has to come to remembrance. Yeah, we have to review all this. Okay, all right. Okay, so what time prophecy ended at this time? When the 1843, the last day of 1843 touches the first day of the first month of 1844. Touches 1335, right? 35. 1335 is a time prophecy in where? Daniel 12 verse. Daniel 12 verse. I'm pretty sure it's Daniel 12 verse 11. Daniel 12 verse 11. Okay. And when you go to Daniel 12, it says, Daniel 12 verse 10, it says, blessed are, can you read Daniel 12 verse 10?
Daniel 12 verse 10.
Can you read Daniel 12 verse 10?
Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand.
Oh, see? The wicked and the wise. The wicked will not understand. Who's the wicked? The foolish. And who's the wise? Well, the wise virgins. The wise will understand, but the foolish or the wicked, they don't understand. What is it that they understand? Right? Verse 11.
And from the time that the day shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up. There shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 days.
Yeah. Blessed who it is who cometh to the 30th and waiteth at the 1335, right? Cometh. Cometh is toucheth. Come actually toucheth. So this is when 1843 touches 1844. And that starts at the daily, right? Until 1843, right? It's very important. 1335. And what happens? Who are those who will understand this time prophecy? The wise. The wise, right? Yeah. See, they're slumbering and sleeping, right? Okay, all right. Another mighty angel was commissioned to descend to earth. Jesus placed in his hand a writing, and as he came to earth, he cried, Babylon is fallen. Babylon is fallen, right? 2 times. Then I saw the disappointed ones, right? When Babylon was fallen, it's what? That's the second angel's message. The second angel's message was given on the first day of the first month, according to Ezra 7:9. Right? It was the Millerites preaching to the people in the Protestant churches, hey, come out of Babylon, right? Jesus is coming, come out of Babylon. And a lot of them came out, right? Out of the Protestant churches, right? So then, but Jesus didn't come. Then I saw the disappointed. When Jesus didn't come, there was the disappointed ones. Again raised their eyes to heaven, looking with faith and hope for their Lord's appearing. But many seemed to remain in a stupid state, as if asleep. Oh, they were asleep, right? Yet I could see the trace of deep sorrow upon their countenance. Even though they look as if they're asleep, they still had a deep sorrow within them. The disappointed ones saw from the scriptures, see, they were studying the scriptures. They're looking for more light. That they were in a tarrying time. Oh, we said, you know what? We are in a tarrying time. That they must patiently await the fulfillment of the vision. See, this is from early writings, right? Yeah, this is early writings. So when they were disappointed, it was when the cry of the second angel's message, right? Disappointment. Second angel's message. To come out of the Protestant churches, right? What was the state of the Protestant churches at that time? It was God's church. That's Martin Luther's church, right? But it did not want to keep the Sabbath day. It didn't want to advance in the light, right? Yeah. And they rejected William Miller, right? You know, all the Baptist church, all the Protestant church, they all rejected William Miller eventually, right? Okay, Ezra 7:9. Here's Ezra 7:9. For upon the first day of the first month, 1D, 1M, first day of the first month, began he to go up from Babylon. He came out of Babylon. And on the first day of the first month, he arrived in Jerusalem. And what did he do? He waited. While he came out, he had to wait because there was no Levites. All right, okay. He had to tarry. He had to tarry, and he had to call his, he had to call what? He had to call his brethren out of darkness and confusion. There's brothers, his own brothers were still in darkness and confusion. He already came out. And he says, come out, right? Come out. Let's go back to Jerusalem. Come out, let's go back to Jerusalem, right? Okay. All right, so we're going to put this on a line, right? We have to put this on a line. Okay. 1260 is the darkness. 1260 years of darkness, right? That's 3.5 years, 42 months, right? 1260. Okay, after that is the preaching of the first angel's message. Who was chosen to preach the first angel's message? William Miller, starting in 1798. What happened in 1798 to the papacy? was delivered a deadly wound, right? Yeah, the deadly wound. He can no longer tread upon God's people. He can no longer tread upon God's people, right? All right. This is very important. He no longer tread upon God's people. But all right. And then William Miller was studying the concordance. He had an increase of knowledge, right? He had an increase of knowledge, and he received his preaching credentials in 1833. Okay? So there's a fulfillment of this prophecy. 1260 was fulfilled right here. 1798. Right? What prophecy was fulfilled in 1833? What prophecy? The stars came down, right? That's the last of the signs that comes. The stars came down. There's a prophecy that was fulfilled right here. The stars came down, right? 1833. Right. Yeah. Okay. What prophecy was fulfilled right here? When the Ottoman Empire loses its power to the European powers. And Josiah Litch says that, you know what, in 10 days' time, the Ottoman Empire will fall. He published it, and it came true. And in that time, the first angel's message that was given by William Miller was empowered. And suddenly, this message was spread all over the world. It was empowered. Why? The prediction that proved that the year-day principle, right? What's the year-day principle? One day is 1 year. That's how they figured it out. 1 day is 1 year. 391 years and 15 days. To the day, the Islamic empire of Ottoman Empire was restrained right here. Right? Okay. All right. We got that? Yeah. So there's a fulfillment. It's all fulfillment of prophecy. Right? This is the falling of the stars. This is Revelation 9. Right? Revelation 9. Okay. Right. So all right. So what was this in May 1842? The foundations. The restoring of the foundations. How was the foundations written on tables? Right? This is the foundations. This is our foundations. Right? Our foundations was written on the chart. Right? This is the restoring of the foundation. Right? This is our old past. So we have to return to our old past. This is our old past, right? And our old past. It's the fulfillment of which prophecy? Habakkuk 2. Right. This is a fulfillment of prophecy. All of these are fulfillment of prophecies. Okay? And then there was a disappointment. When was the disappointment? The first day of the first month, which is April 19, 1844. They said Jesus was going to come. That's the first day of the first month. They were disappointed. Right? Right. First day of the first month. Disappointment. Okay, this is Matthew 25, Ezra 7:9. Fulfillment of these prophecies. Right? Okay. Okay. All right. We'll keep going now. We still got a little ways to go here. And at midnight, there was a cry made. Behold, the bridegroom cometh. Go ye out to meet him. Then all these virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. Right? In the summer of 1844, and this is very crucial right here. It's the summer of 1844. Midway, between the time when they had first that the 2300 days was going to end. They first thought that 2300 days was going to end when? On April 19. They thought that Jesus was going to come on April 19. They first thought that the 2300 days was going to end on April 19. Right? Midway between that time and the autumn of the same year. What happened in October 22, 1844? Then they said, oh, this is the right time when Jesus is going to come. They said, right? Did Jesus come then? No, Jesus didn't come. Midway between April 19 And October 22, 1844, the message was proclaimed in the very words of the scripture. Behold, the bridegroom cometh. Behold, the bridegroom cometh. That's exactly in the middle, between April 19 and October 22. What's the exact middle? The exact middle is July 21. And who preached this message, behold, the bridegroom cometh, on July 21? Samuel Snow. Right? Samuel Snow. Right? Okay. If they knew that April 19, 1844 is the first day of the first month, that means that they can figure out that July 21 is the what? Is the fifth day of the fourth month. Right? If you know that if you know that April 19 is the first day of the first month, you just look at the Hebrew calendar and you synchronize it with the Gregorian calendar, and you see July 21 is the fifth day of the fourth month. Right? And the fifth day of the fourth month is midnight. Okay? Because that's when the midnight cry was made. Behold, the bridegroom cometh. And was it a close of probation? Is midnight a close of probation? It is in a crisis that character is revealed. When the earnest voice proclaimed at midnight, right? This is midnight. Behold, the bridegroom cometh. Go ye out at midnight. It's a crisis, right? And what happens at the crisis? Can you still work on your character, trying to make it perfect? It's too late. Your character is already made. When? At midnight. Can you buy any more oil at midnight? No, your character is already made at midnight. That's when the crisis. So that's why it's a close of probation. Wow. This is why midnight is so important. Right? Right. And the sleeping virgins, they're all awake. Right? It's a crisis. You cannot buy any more oil. No more oil is on sale. No more. Okay? It was seen who had made preparation for the event. Now you can see who made preparation. Now you can see, right? The wheat from the tares. Right? You can see the difference. Both parties were taken unawares, but one was prepared for the emergency, and the other one was found without preparation. And that's the fifth day of the fourth month. That's midnight. That's midway. Okay, remember, midnight is midway also. Right? Ellen White said midnight is midway. Right? Midway between the first day of the fifth month and the first day of the first month and the 10th day of the seventh month. Okay? These things may be a little confusing. It's okay, It's a reviewing. Yeah? We need to all review. You know what? Because this is the history of our church, right? This is the foundation. This is the foundation of our church. Oh boy, we really need to know this stuff. Okay. All right. What's the significance of fifth day of fourth month then? Where can we find it in the Bible? The fifth day of the fourth month in the Bible. Where can we find the fifth day of the fourth month in the Bible? Where? Ezekiel. All right? Ezekiel 1 verse 1. Right? That's midnight. Fifth day of the fourth month is midnight. All right? Ezekiel 1 verse 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, right? In the fourth month, in the fifth day of the month, the fifth day of the fourth month, and I was by the river of Chebar, and the heavens were opened, and I saw what? Visions. What kind of vision is this? It's a Marah vision. What's a Marah vision? Now you ask, what's a Marah vision? What did Ezekiel see? What? The wheel within the wheels. Right? The wheels within the wheels. What are the wheels? What is in the middle of a wheel? The turning point. What's a turning point? It's the axis. Yeah, the axle is in the middle. And then Jesus said, and Ellen White says, that within every line there are turning points. Within the line of John the Baptist and Jesus, Judas had a turning point. His turning point, when was Judas's turning point? When he figured out, no, that was not his turning point. His turning point when he saw that Jesus says, "This is my body," right? You know this, he says, what? You know what? I want Jesus to make all the people have free food. All this free food we can have. You know what? So we can have an army, we can defeat the world because we're going to have free food. Jesus is going to be free food. But Jesus said, "This is my body." It's a spiritual food. And he was disappointed. He says, "You mean you're talking about spiritual kingdom? You know, I want a temporal, I want a physical kingdom. We will need to defeat the Romans," right? That was his turning point, right? Every line has a turning point. So a line is actually a wheel because a line has a turning point, right? So if you see wheels within a wheel, what does it mean? The line upon line. When you look at line upon line, you're seeing wheels within wheels, right? Okay, we did this a long time ago, right? We have to understand this. So if you're understanding, when do you understand wheels within a wheels? At midnight. You will have full understanding of the lines, right? You will have full understanding of the prophecies, and it's called a Marah vision. All right. Ezekiel had a Marah vision. All right. Okay. All right. You know what? I'm going to have to diverge a little bit here. Who else had a Marah vision? Now we know it's Daniel, right? In Daniel where? Daniel 10. Okay, Daniel had several different visions, right? You know, when he saw in Daniel 7 the beast come out of the water, right? He saw Babylon, Medo-Persia, you know, Greece, Rome, right? What kind of vision is that? It's a historical vision. It's a history from Babylon all the way until there's going to be Jesus coming with the what? The little rock that hits, right? What kind of vision is that? It's the historical vision. What's the name of that vision? It's in Daniel. It's a Chow Zone vision. Chow Zone vision, okay? This is to get everybody caught up because we need to know what a Marah vision is. Okay, so there's a vision. Did he see a Chow Zone vision in Daniel 8? Yes, in Daniel 8 he saw a Chow Zone vision, okay? Starting with Medo-Persia all the way, right? Daniel 8. Did he see a Chow Zone vision in Daniel 11? Of course. It's a historical vision, right? All right, okay. But then he saw one saint speaking to another saint, right? And he did not understand that vision. What vision was it that he did not understand? What kind of vision? One saint speaking to the other saint. How long shall be the vision? Until the 2300 days. What kind of vision was that? It's not a Chow Zone vision. It's a Marah vision. It's a different vision. You know what? You know, Marah, M-A-R-E-H. It's a Marah vision. When he saw one saint speaking to another saint, who was that other saint? One saint was actually Gabriel. Who's the other saint? Jesus. So when he saw Jesus, it's a Marah vision. When Daniel saw Jesus, it's a Marah vision. Okay? Then, in Daniel 10, he had a Marah vision. Okay? Well, this is all review. Okay? This is all review. We at any time we can review these things. He had a Marah vision. When he had a Marah vision in Daniel 10, what did he see? Yeah? Marah is a reflection. When you look at in a looking glass, Marah is a looking glass. When you look at a looking glass that is made up of brass, when the priest, after he washes himself, right, in the brass laver, what did he look in the water? He looked at a reflection of himself. But what happens when you look at a brass mirror, and you have seen the glory of God, and now you are reflecting the character of Jesus? Who do you see? Do you see yourself? You see Christ actually looking in that. So when you have a Marah vision, you actually have the perfect character of Christ already, right? Right. And when he had the Marah vision, he had to understand the Chalzone vision. He had to understand the 2300 days. He had to understand all those Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, right? And then when he went to understand the Marah vision, he had to understand the 2300 days. But when he understood the Marah vision, what did he see? That Michael was coming down, all right? And then what did he saw? Michael was coming down to help fight against the prince of Persia. Because what? Because Greece was coming, right? So he saw Medo-Persia is going to be switched to Greece. So he sees that Medo-Persia is going to fall, and Greece will come after that. Okay. What does that mean? What does that mean? Medo-Persia is what kind of kingdom? A two-horned kingdom. Right. And Greece is a what horn kingdom? It's a one kingdom. It's a united kingdom. It's a united power. Right? Who's the two-horned beast in our time? United States. The two-horned beast in our time. The United States beast is the sixth kingdom. It's going to be replaced by the seventh kingdom. What is the seventh kingdom? It's a United Nations. It's going to be. So, when we have a Marah vision, just like Daniel, we're going to be able to give a prediction that America is going to fall and be replaced by the United Nations after America successfully passes the Sunday law. Because now the United Nations will make the whole world pass a Sunday law when Michael stands up, right? Right? There's going to be Sunday laws first in America, and there's going to be Sunday laws all over the world, right? Yeah. Wow. That's a Marah vision. So at midnight, you're going to have to be able to give a prediction. All right. Wow, so many. Who else had a Marah vision? There's a certain prophet. He was only 12 years old. He had a Marah vision. He's 12 years old. He had a vision. And God gave him a vision. Samuel. He had a vision. He said, God was calling him, Samuel, 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 right? And he gave him a vision. What kind of vision was it? That he was afraid to tell Eli. That Eli and his children is going to die. Are going to die, right? That's a Marah vision also. Samuel, little Samuel, 12 years old, had a Marah vision. It's a prediction. Okay, Daniel predicted that America is going to fall and is going to be followed by Greece, which is United Nations. Samuel had a Marah vision and gave a prediction that Eli and his son's going to fall. What's Eli and the son's going to fall? The church is going to fall. Eli is the priest, right? Right? The church is going to fall, right? When is the close of probation for spiritual Israel? When America also falls and gives a Sunday law, right? It's Marah vision. So we're going to have to make a prediction for the church and also for the country. Wow. All right, Marah vision is pretty deep. Pretty deep. Okay? Who else had a Marah vision? There's another Jacob had a Marah vision.
And if you tell the
That's very deep, right? Jacob had a Marah vision. When did Jacob had a Marah vision? The story is in Genesis 46. Jacob had a Marah vision. Remember, he was called by his son. His son was in Egypt, right? His son was sent to Egypt to prepare a place for them so that they can have a place, because in Canaan was a famine, right? The whole world was in famine, right? They had a place, but Jacob had prepared a place for them, right? For them. And he said, call our father, right? Joseph. Joseph says, call our father. And the father, Jacob, says, oh, my son, he's actually alive? Wow. Right? So he went. Where did he go and had a vision? Genesis 46. He had a vision in Beersheba. And what kind of vision was it? A Marah vision. Right? Because what happened to him? He says, my son is actually alive? This must be a fulfillment of prophecy. Right? What prophecy did he have when he had a Marah vision in Beersheba? What vision, what prophecy did he realize was fulfilled when he said, oh, you know what? We're going to all go down and worship Joseph. What prophecy did he realize was fulfilled? The sheaves. He realized there's a fulfillment of prophecy. Right? There's a fulfillment of prophecy. And what's going to happen? When they go to Egypt, Joseph, who was there already, right? They had prepared a place for his brothers. And it was given by Pharaoh. Pharaoh gave them a place where? In Goshen. What does that mean? There's going to be a priest that is going to Goshen and prepare a place for his brethren. So that one day his brethren is going to wake up and say, hey, you know what? The prophecy is correct. But you know what? I have a brother already in Goshen. He already has a place for me in Goshen.
I'm just thinking in the home of Jacob when they were still kids. And Joseph gave this as a kid, as a story. And lo and behold, it was fulfilled. The story he was telling.
It's a Marah vision that actually Jacob had. Jacob says, wow, it's a fulfillment of prophecy. He had a Marah vision. And he says, what? Joseph is preparing. You know, you're going to Goshen on Thursday. You know, so that your brothers one day will have a place for them. Right? You realize that? Pretty amazing. Wow. Okay. That's a Marah vision. There's several others. You know, we don't have time for that. Okay. All right.
Going back to the church of Paul, if the Sunday law is already executed, you still can keep the Sabbath?
Yeah, you may keep the Sabbath if you worship the wrong God even if you worship the wrong and on the right day, you're still not keeping the Sabbath. Right? Right. Because it's the story of the Jews. When Titus came in 70 AD and encompassed, the abomination of desolation came, right? And encompassed Jerusalem and conquered Jerusalem. What day was it that they took the temple? The Sabbath. Why? Because the priest says peace and safety. You want peace and safety? Come and stay in this temple, because the abomination of desolation will never get you in the temple, right? On Sabbath day. If you stay on the Sabbath day, it's a peace and safety message, right? Stay in this temple. On the Sabbath day, you will never be conquered by the abomination of desolation. But it was a peace and safety message. Because Jesus already said, if you see the abomination of desolation come, what do you have to do? You have to run to the mountains. But the what? But the leaders were saying, stay.
It's like in Rwanda.
Rwanda. Exactly. That's Rwanda. That's the story of Rwanda. Okay? And that is going to happen again. So even though you keep the Sabbath, but you're worshiping the wrong Son of God. Right? Because they chose Barabbas. They chose the wrong Son of God. Right? Yeah. These days, terrible. All right? Wow. Okay. Okay. Right? We keep going here. This is midnight. Marah vision. Someday we have to do Marah vision, right? There's still more about Marah vision. Marah vision. Okay. So here we go. Right? July 21, 1844. That's midnight. That's midnight, right? So this is the disappointment right here. Disappointment. That's the first day of the first month. This is July 21. This is the 5th day of the 4th month. And this is exactly in the middle between here and here. Well, it's not exactly in the middle. But, it's actually between here and here. Just because I put it side by side, I had to squeeze it in. But this is exactly in the middle between here and here. Okay? October 22 is going to be here. Right? This is Midway. Okay? All right. Okay, we got 2 more waymarks here. Right now. All right. And at midnight, there was a cry made. Right? Also, and at midnight, there was a cry made. Behold, the bridegroom cometh. Go ye out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, give us your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, no, saying, not so, lest there be not enough for us and you. But go ye rather to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. Right. So near the close of the second angel's message. The second angel's message was given when? April 19, 1844. That's on the first day of the first month. Right. Towards the end, near the time that the third angel's message is going to be given, I saw a great light from heaven shining upon people of God. So it's shining. There's a shining on God's people. The rays of light seem bright as the sun. Oh, there's going to be sun. And I heard the voices of, behold, the bridegroom cometh. Wait a minute. Is it repeated again? Yeah, it's repeated again. This was the midnight cry, which was to give power. Now it gives power to the second angel's message. The second angel's message had already been given on April 19. But there's a midnight cry that's a separate event. It's after. So what Ellen White is saying, that midnight and midnight cry is actually 2 events. Right? Right. It's directly from early writings. There's actually 2 events. It's not 1 event. It's 2 events. The midnight cry was to give power to the second angel's message. Right. It gives power. Okay? And then they realize this is when Ezra arrived in Jerusalem. Because now they have power. Now they can give the message. They can now understand the third angel's message. All right? That is going to happen on October 22. And this is when Ezra arrived in Jerusalem, is the first day of the 5th month. Remember, he left on the first day of the first month. And then he arrived on the first day of the 5th month. Okay, when you look at the calendar, you realize that's August 15, right? What happened on August 15? Samuel Snow, eventually he went to the Exeter Campmeeting, one of the famous camp meetings, right? He arrived there on the 14th. He gave the message. But the people said, you know what? Wow, that's a beautiful message. That Jesus is actually going to come on October 22, 1844, based on your research and finding out that it's the Day of Atonement. Right? It's the Day of Atonement. So he finally figured out that Jesus is going to come on the Day of Atonement. Samuel Snow, right? And he started preaching it. He first initially preached it in April at midnight, which was in July. But the people did not understand it. Only here at the Exeter meeting on August the 14th, he started preaching it. But the people said, you know what? We need more people. Preach it again tomorrow. He had to preach it twice. There's a doubling. He preached it twice. And on the second meeting, it was exactly on August 15. And August 15 is exactly the first day of the 5th month when Ezra arrived in Jerusalem. All these are fulfillments of prophecies, right? The story of the Millerites is a fulfillment of prophecies, right? And this empowered the second angel's message, right? Because now they're ready to preach the third angel's message, right? Okay, so this is the Exeter camp meeting. On August 15, Samuel Snow, he first gave his lectures here at the Boston Tabernacle, but the people didn't really understand it. Then he doubled it here. He gave it on the 14th and the 15th in 1844, right? And this gave a power to the message. And this is the midnight cry. This is midnight, and this is the midnight cry. There's a power, like the Holy Spirit was being poured right here. Oh, look at this. The Holy Spirit being poured right here. Okay, the power, right? This is midnight. Was Jesus betrayed at midnight? Right here, midnight. Right? Disappointment. They had to go through their Gethsemane experience. Right? Okay. All right. This is the midnight cry. Okay. And then now they said, okay, Jesus is going to come at the Day of Atonement, the 10th day of the 7th month. Right? They realized, okay, now the power, it went with power. And a lot of people believed it. So they had to come to this point right here. And we know that's October 22, 1844. Right. The proclamation, behold, the bridegroom cometh, in the summer of 1844, led thousands to expect the immediate advent of the Lord. At the appointed time, the bridegroom came. When was the appointed time that the bridegroom came? On October 22, 1844. How did they figure it out? Samuel Snow realized it was on the Day of Atonement, right? The Day of Atonement, they said, you know what? Jesus is going to cleanse the earth. Uh-oh, that was a wrong interpretation. Jesus is going to cleanse the most holy place, right? So did he go on cloud? Yes. He went on a cloud, but he went to the Ancient of Days, right here. At the appointed time, the bridegroom came, not to the earth, as the people expected, but to the Ancient of Days in heaven, to the marriage, the reception of his kingdom. They that were ready went with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. Obviously, this is a spiritual marriage, right? Because those who were ready, those are the Millerites that was ready, they went to the marriage, okay? But this is spiritual, right? This is spiritual marriage. And then there was a shut door. A shut door. Meaning there's a close of probation. So when was there's two close of probations. When was the first close of probation? Well, actually, you can actually say there's three, all right? At midnight, there's a close of probation because they actually don't have enough oil. They essentially close their own door, right? But when was the door actually shut? Here, no, in October 22, 1844. Right, yeah, on October 22, right. When did the door close for the Protestants? When the second angel's message was given. They rejected William Miller. Said, come out of Babylon. Say, come out of Babylon, right? See? That's the first day of the first month. That's April 19. That's the second angel's message, right? That's the closed door for the Protestants, right? All right, they closed their door. They closed their door when they rejected the 1843 chart, right? They closed their door. But their door was closed when they rejected the second angel's message. Okay, so we know October 22, 1844, right? 10th day of the 7th month. That's right. Okay. All right, so now we're going to have to put this on a line. October 22, 1844. Whose picture is this? This is Willie Miller. This is Josiah Litch. This is Samuel Snow. Who's this? He's the one that went onto the field, and then he saw, the heavens opened up, and he saw that Jesus entered into the most holy place. What was his name? He was one of our pioneers. Hiram Edson. Hiram Edson, right? Hiram Edson. And Ellen White named one of his sons for him. Edson. Yeah, right. Hiram Edson. Okay. He's the one that saw the heavens open up, and Jesus actually did not come to earth, but Jesus went to the Ancient of Days in the most holy place. And that's the fulfillment of what time prophecy? 2300 days. Okay. All right. You know what? We're going to make a review here, right? We're going to, we do have, we still have time, all right? Okay. We're going to make a review here, okay? This is the line of the Millerites. This line lines up with the line of Jesus. It lines up with Psalms 23. It lines up with all the other reform lines. Every single reform line it lines up with, right? Here we know. Because this will also line up with our line. The 144,000, right? Yeah, the 144,000. We will put it down here, okay? Right. That'll be next time. But we have to make a review, okay? All right. 1260 years. That's the Dark Ages, right? They're Dark Ages. When did the Dark Ages start? Okay. So 1260. It ends in 1798. Oh, what year is that? 538 until 1798. Okay? All right. Remember, prophecy is a chiastic mirror. There's going to be a rise and a fall. So it's the rise of who and the fall of who? It's the rise of the papacy and the fall of papacy. How did the papacy rise in 538? It finished plucking out the three heretics, right? The three horns, right? Right, the three horns. And then now he can reign supreme. Nobody's protesting them now. Those three horns cannot no longer fight, keep harassing them, right? He plucked those three out. Yeah, those were the Arians, okay? Right, he plucked them out. And now he rose up, but then he what? So the papacy rise in the beginning of 1260, and he fell at the end of the 1260, which is 1798. Okay, and that's the time of the end. Okay, if you want the reference, 1260 is also called what? 3.5 years. Time, times, and a dividing of times. Daniel 7:25, Daniel 12:7. What about 42 months? That's Revelation 12:4, Revelation 11:2, Revelation 13:5. Yeah? That's a fulfillment of prophecy. These are all prophecies, right? Okay, which country conquered the papacy? France, right? France, right? Yeah, France conquered the papacy. Who was it? Napoleon and his general. What's his general's name? Berthier. Right, Berthier. Okay, is that a fulfillment of prophecy? What prophecy? Okay, my question is, what prophecy? Yeah, that France actually inflicted the deadly wound. What prophecy is that? No, that's not 1260. 1260 is the rise and fall of papacy. Okay, but what's the prophecy about France? The two-horned beast. France is a two-horned beast. What's the one beast? What's the one horn called? Sodom. What's the other horn called? Egypt. It's Sodom and Egypt, right? France is a two-horned beast, just like America is a two-horned beast, right? So there's a rise and fall of France. All right? When was the rise of France? Okay. When's the rise of France? Okay, RC knows this. Okay, but who else knows this? When was the rise in France? When France changed its religion from being a pagan, and it changed religion to become Catholic. And it gave its power to the Pope so that the Pope can now rise up. What was that? A change from paganism to papalism. What is that? Change of paganism to papalism. No. It's the taking away of the daily. The taking away of the daily. Right? The taking of the daily. When was the taking away of the daily? This is a review, okay? All right, I'm going to make sure. Everybody, I'm going to look at your eyes, see if you know. All right, taking of the daily. What year? 508. So from 508 till 1798. That's the rise of France and then the fall of France until 1798. Right? How many years is that? 1290. Where is the 1290 year prophecy? Daniel 12 verse. Right, Daniel 12 verse 11. Daniel 12:11, right? 1290. That's the rise and the fall of the two-horned beast, right? Which is also France, right? But we know that typifies America too. It's going to typify America. Okay, to the two-horned beast. Okay, so we have 1290 here. This is the rise and fall of. Okay, what's another time prophecy that ends right here in 1798? This is a tough one. That is the indignation. Okay, I want you to go and read Daniel 11 verse 36. Daniel 11:36. Right? Somebody read for me Daniel 11:36.
And the king shall do according to his will.
Who's the king? The papacy.
And he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the gods of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done.
All right. Till the what? Till the indignation be accomplished. When was the indignation accomplished? 1798. There's an indignation that was accomplished here. What's an indignation? The wine of the wrath of his indignation. What's the wrath? Judgment. What is the judgment? Another word for judgment. Scattering. Right, there's the scattering. There's the scattering and the gathering. So this is the first indignation. When the indignation ends right here. This is the indignation. That's the scattering and the gathering. That's the 2520 right here. You know, and this is a controversial one because spiritual Israel completely rejects this 2520 right now. Okay? It's been rejected for a long time. Right? Okay. That's the first indignation. Right? It's accomplished in 1798. Okay. All right. Let's see. Which power came up and fell down? Oh, it's right here. I already have it right here. Islam. When did Islam rise up and then Islam had to fall down? Yeah, it's 1449. 1449 until 1840 is 391 years and 15 days. Right? So there's a rise and fall of papacy. There was a rise and fall of Islam. There's a rise and fall of the two-horned beast. Right? That means there's going to be a rise in our time. There's going to be a rise and fall of Islam. There's going to be a rise and fall of the papacy, and there's a rise and fall of America too. Okay. Oh, all right. Let's see what's next. This is obviously fulfillment of Habakkuk 2, right? And this is time prophecy that was fulfilled right here is the 1335, when those who wait and touch us, 1844. Well, this is when the first day of the first month, when the last day of 1843 touches 1844. That's, this is based on the Jewish calendar. This is the 1335, right? Right at the time of disappointment, right? The time of disappointment. Okay, this is called the first day of the first day of the first month. Okay, this one is midnight. What Jewish year? What Jewish date was this? Midnight. What Jewish date was this? The 5th day of the
4th month.
Right, the 5th day of the 4th month. And Ellen White said it's midway. Midway between here and here. Okay, exactly in the middle. I don't have it exactly in the middle, because I don't have enough space. I had to squish everything together, right? But this was exactly in the middle. Here is in the middle, right? That's the 5th day of the 4th month. And 5th day of the 4th month is when you have your Marah visions, all those Marah visions. You're going to understand prophecy, right? You're going to understand that America is going to fall and be taken over by the papacy. When? Here. You know that spiritual Israel's temple is going to be burnt. That not one stone is going to stand on another stone. When? Here. You know that Eli and his sons are going to die. When? Here. Right? They also understand it from here. Like Samuel Snow. He started understanding that October 22. He first starts understanding it here. Samuel Snow was getting a Marah vision, right? Yeah. Okay. Wow. So many stuff, huh? So many. Okay. Right. And what is this? This is the first day of the 5th month. That's the Ezra 7:9. The first day of the 5th month, right? Okay. And this is what time prophecy ends right here? 2300 days, right? Because that's the Day of Atonement, right? 2300 days. Remember, this is called the 7 thunders. The parable of the 10 virgins is also the 7 thunders. How many thunders? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's one more thunder. What more time prophecy? If this is an indignation, there's going to be another indignation right here. Go to Daniel 8 verse 19. All right. Daniel 8 verse 19. Daniel 8 verse 19.
And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. For at the time appointed the end shall be.
Right. There's an indignation here when the king, right? He is no longer, the papacy will fall at the time of the indignation, but there's also going to be at the end of indignation. It's talking about Daniel 8:19. It's talking about Daniel 8:14. That's going to be the time of the end also. The time of the end is right here. There's going to be another indignation. There's going to be indignation here. There's going to be another indignation that ends right here. That's the other 2520. Right? So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 7 thunders. Right? The 7 thunders. Okay, and that's the 10th day of the 7th month. And the 10th day of the 7th month is the Day of Atonement. Right? And is it a close of probation? Yes. It's a close of probation here. There's a close of probation right here too. But you know what? This is also a close of probation right here. But this is the close of probation. Right? Okay. Now the 2300 days lines up also. It's a very important time prophecy, because how was the 2300 days understood? Because 70 weeks is determined unto the 2300 days, right? 2300 days is only can be understood if you understand the 70 weeks, right? When does the 70 weeks end? We did this last week. When did the 70 weeks end? 34 AD. When? When Stephen was stoned, right? When Stephen was stoned, right? That's from 457 until 34 AD. That's the end of the 70 weeks. Okay, that's what? Daniel 9 verse, okay. Daniel 9 verse 24, right? Is this a close of probation? For the Jews, right? Is this a close of probation for spiritual Israel? All right. All right. So in our time, when we see it's going to be Sunday law here, it's a close of probation for spiritual Israel. Because here it lines up with close of probation for the Jews when they killed Stephen here. Okay. Go to Daniel 9, verse 25 and 26.
Know therefore and discern that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the anointed one, the prince shall be 7 weeks, and 62 weeks. It shall be built again with street and moat, even in troublous times.
Right.
67.
62 plus 7. 7 plus 62. What is that? 69 weeks, right? And then so where's the 69 weeks? What happened at the 69th week? Right here. 69th week. What happened? Jesus was anointed. The anointing, right? There's an anointing in Daniel 9. There was an anointing, right? That's the end of the 69 weeks, right? That's anointing. Wow. Okay. And what happened? Yeah. What happened in the midst of the week? He was broken, right? He was broken. Jesus was crucified. Where? In the midst of the week, right? Look at this. This is the midst. This is Midway. I just realized this morning.
Jesus was crucified, it's in the midway.
It's the midst of the week, right? And here is Midway. Midnight is the midst, and it's also midway. You know what? Could this be a coincidence? There's no coincidence. You know what? Line upon line is proven to be correct. You cannot go wrong if you study line upon line. Impossible. I just can't believe this. It's in the midst of the week, and it's actually midway. Right? And it's midnight. Right? Wow. Okay. Here's the close of probation for the Jews as a nation. Okay. Is this a close of probation? Okay, my question is, it is a close of probation, but for who? No. For at the time of Jesus. At the time of Jesus. This is a close of probation for her. When Jesus decides that he's going, what happens right after he was baptized? What happens? He chooses his 12 disciples. And who was it that he did not decide to choose his disciples from? The hypocrites. Right? He decides, I'm not going to choose my disciples from who? From the Sanhedrin, from the leaders. What did he do? He bypassed the leaders. And Ellen White in Desire for Ages says, this happens in every generation. He will have a group of people that he chooses who are humble and have a teachable spirit. Right? And he has to bypass those who are the hypocrites. Right? The hypocrites. He has to bypass the hypocrites. So it's a close probation for the what? For the leaders. It's amazing.
When he's baptized, is he made high priest?
No. He's made high priest here in heaven. Yeah. He was anointed here. But he's also anointed here too. Yeah. Yeah, he's anointed here and he's anointed here too. Wow. So you see, there's a close probation for the leaders who are the hypocrites. And you know, it is going to line up here. Oh, right when Islam attacks. Oh my goodness. And is restrained. It's going to be in our time. Oh boy. We're going to see. It's going to line up. It's going to be.
Some of our leaders are being close.
Right? So, this is pretty amazing. You know what? These lines will prove itself every time. You put these lines together, it will never steer you wrong. This is how you study the Bible. Line upon line. Here a little, there a little. A precept here, a precept there. You'll never go wrong. Okay? Wow.
We need bypass for our time.
What was that? Then we'll have to put our time here. That's going to be for, we're going to do, you know, next week we're not going to do our line yet because we're going to do Samuel Snow's line.
Letters.
Right? Samuel Snow is going to have letters. And with these letters, he wrote multiple letters. Right? And from these letters, it fits into this timeline. And from this, we can understand that there's also another timeline, there's another waymark that shows that there's going to be sunset. You know, because there's sunset. Remember? Right. We have midnight here. Right? We have midnight cry. We have the Sunday law. Right? And you know what? This, for us, this is 9/11. Right? This is the time of the end. Right? This is the midnight. Right. All right. So we're going to have, that's what we're going to study next week. Hopefully we'll get through that. It's a little difficult because this is all review, okay? This is all review. We've done this before, but next week is going to be new information about Samuel Snow. It's been done by us. You know, I didn't get it. I got it from, you know, the School of the Prophets, okay? All right. Okay. All right. Any questions? Well, a lot of information. Big review.
It's hard to believe.
It's Could this be invented by man?
No.
Impossible.
No. If you tell this Marah vision to people who are not studying, they might misunderstand you.
They don't even know what Marah vision is.
Yeah,
All right? You know, wow. And this is a more sure word of